All right, so Murata is currently working on volume 22 of One Punch Man, which I think is probably going to be released early next month. So at the moment, he's like rewriting a bunch of chapters that are going to be in volume 22. And by our surprise, chapter 103, as we see, is completely changed. Like, changed in such a significant way that it's going to impact many chapters after this, including just the follow-up chapter 104, and we'll get into that. But I just wanted to put this out there for anyone who's unaware that there's a lot of revisions coming. Another one that I could tell you is certain is Child Emperor versus Phoenix Man. Possibly chapter 99 is going to be completely revamped like chapter 103 as well, so look out for that. But for now, let's talk about this chapter. So obviously, the complete 180 here is that Narinki's private squad survives Amai Mask and is saved by the disciples of Atomic Samurai. How do I feel about this? I'm okay with it. It's fine. I mean, there's a few things that I need to talk about at the end of this video, which are going to go into spoiler stuff. I'll give you a warning, of course, but just look out for that in case you are a webcomic reader. But I'll just say for now that it makes sense that one decided to change things like this. And dare I say, it might even make things more cohesive than they would have been originally if Amai Mask did slaughter Narinki's squad the way that he did. So another thing that this revision does is gives development to the disciples, especially E-Iron. E-Iron definitely getting a lot of development in this chapter. Pretty cool. He's a great character. I think he's going to be prevalent in the future of the story, so it's good to build him up now, especially considering he lacked pretty much all development at all in the webcomic. But anyway, so them also E-Iron remembering that Amai Mask is pretty much capable of taking out individuals like this because he was there, in Boros' invasion, and he did see Amai Mask do it. So I just love how they're like resyncing this up because it makes sense. Also, the Narinki's private squad surviving here causes a lot of issues, but at the same time, the issues that it causes also form into, like I said, something that could benefit the story, make it more cohesive. Because now that they're alive, as I was saying in the beginning of the chapter, the follow-up chapter, 104, is going to have to change somehow. And depending on how one of Murata want to change it, it could be not so drastic or it could be super drastic. Because, like, this is the chapter where they go against Devil Longhair. So it's like, okay, are the Narinki's private squad going to be included in that battle or before, or, Murata is just going to add a couple panels at the beginning of the chapter, the new revised one, where, I don't know, the disciples are like, get out of here, Narinki's private squad, go wait over there in that secret room. And then, things go normally and they just fight Devil Longhair. And then after the battle's over, then they get them out or something. Or, I don't know, maybe somebody meets up with them and then they pass Narinki's private squad on to somebody else. I don't know. It's interesting, but they're eventually going to make it to the surface, I guess. And then once they're up there, I guess they'll just go with the support team naturally. But then I was thinking like, okay, so other than like the significance for Amai Mask's character development for, him not killing them and them surviving, what other significance does the Narinki's private squad have here? Like, why do they need to be alive? And then I was like, oh, right. They also have the organization power suits on, something that G5 was super interested in. That's why he didn't want to kill them when he was in the Monster Association, like, little huddle thing, because he wanted the suits to get more data. And now that I'm thinking about it, that storyline was never revisited. It was kind of just set up and then they just died and there was no data to be had. So it's possible that, I don't know, Drive Night or something might come encounter with Narinki's private squad. Like maybe those chapters all the way up to like chapter 119 and 120, maybe it gets revised all the way up till then. And it's like Drive Night winds up taking Narinki's private squad from Genos. He's like, hey, I'll look after these guys. Don't worry about it. And he takes them back to the organization and then just, I don't know, turns them into cyborgs or something crazy. Or just collects the data from the suits, and now he knows about the disciples and Amai Mask too, possibly. But man, it's just the possibilities are very interesting. Also, the way that Amai Mask takes out Super S in this chapter is pretty much a recreation of the way that he takes out Goddess Glasses in the webcomic. Like, Super S is new to the manga. She's basically an adaptation of the character Goddess Glasses, who wasn't able to use because I think that character belonged to the animation studio or the office or whatever he was working at the time when he was making that comic. Similar to Hot Rod and Gale, who are like the adaptation or the original versions of Hellfire and Gale. Just a little interesting little thing right there. But also, let's get into Super S suddenly having new abilities where she can like turn her leg into a snake or something. That's fine. And then she shoots her tongue into Amai Mask's eyeball, which is gruesome. And in a huge surprise, Amai Mask just tanks this somehow. I mean, it pierces his eyeball, but like he's okay with it. But his face starts to crack. And then Super S says that he's not a human. And then his face regenerates without anyone seeing exactly what happened because he was far away from them. So what does all of this mean? Well, I mean, we can only speculate at this point in time. But based off of all of the things that we've seen in the manga so far, I would say that it's fair to assume that Amai Mask is possibly very similar to Garo at this point. Like, Garo right now is like half human, half monster. He has the benefits of what monsters have, like regeneration and super strength and all that stuff. But he's also pretty much looks like a human, just with minor differences. But Amai Mask pretty much is showing the similar things to Garo here. And now that we know that you can be a human and a monster at the same time, I think it's fair to assume that Amai Mask has possibly gone down that route of power as well. I mean, that's the only explanation you could really say right now based off of what we've seen here. It's pretty evident Amai Mask definitely ain't completely human, because this whole eyeball tanking regeneration stuff, come on. Super S saying that he's not a human. So now at this point, I want to go into webcomic spoilers. So if you don't want to know what's going to happen way past what the manga is currently on, I suggest you check out. Okay, so since we're on the eyeball injury thing here, this is an interesting precursor that they have set up to Amai Mask, getting shot through the chest by evil natural water and getting his arm shot off and then, picking it up and slapping it back on. Because that was the first time that we found out about Amai Mask's crazy regeneration abilities in the webcomic, but now in the manga, we're seeing it, way sooner. So, I don't know, it's just interesting that they want us to be aware of this way before we originally were, at least according to the manga's canon. So, the other thing in this chapter, Amai Mask not killing Nariki's private squad, not having that intense brutality to him anymore. It's kind of like his record is wiped clean at this point. This is better for Amai Mask's character arc, which is like pretty much currently happening in the webcomic, when we recently found out that he was in fact a monster, and that what we see as Amai Mask is in fact one of his monster forms. He can like change depending on like how much control he has apparently. But this is just making it so that Amai Mask is more redeemable at that point in the story once the manga reaches it. Because, like, if we're thinking back to, like, oh my god, well, like, how can we really support and like this guy and feel bad for him when he just brutally murdered a bunch of innocent people, essentially, right? So it's like, this is just better for that. I'm down with it. Like I was saying, it makes it more cohesive. But then another thing is that when we see this one page, page 15, Amai Mask is having like this internal dialogue with himself. And this is like what it looks like when he is struggling with losing his humanity. Because like what he describes to Saitama in, I think it was chapter 120 of the webcomic, when he's like, look, I basically am completely moralless at this point, but I'm forcing myself to think as like a human and think what is the right thing to do. I'm forcing myself to be a hero because I don't want to completely lose my humanity, even though I'm pretty much a full-blown monster at this point. And we see it, this is it like basically visualized beforehand. So it's pretty awesome. Like if you're like a webcomic reader, you can go back and see this happening real time, way before it's eventually revealed. Because he's like, to become a hero, to become a companion of justice, we must vanquish evil. Like he's forcing himself. Like this is the fundamentals. Like if I want to become a companion of justice, I have to vanquish evil, even if I don't care or even if I don't want to. But then he's like, he starts warping his ideology here. He's like, wait, evil's accomplices are also evil. Like, those who are lending a helping hand to evil's accomplice. Talking to Amai, the Atomic Samurai's disciple saving Narinki's squad here. Super interesting stuff. Very tragic. Just as I said in my webcomic reviews when we found out the truth about Amai Mask and eventually what happens with him. Just a super tragic character. And this just further shows it. But also, awesome writing by one. Going back and forth and reconnecting things. But that's pretty much it for the review today, guys. Let me know what you thought about this revision. Did you like the original better? Let me know. And if you like the review, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon that gives you access to a weekly Q&A. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you next one.